First item is new business, consideration land bank minutes from July 17, 2018. Everyone had a chance to review those?
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the land bank meeting minutes from July 17, 2018.
Second.
Been moved and second. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor of the motion, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next item is consideration of a land bank lot proposal.
And just so everyone knows, Lance is here, because Lance is marketing the lots for the city, so,
Oh,
and he asked me, I said, yeah, be here, so. Do you want to lead off with that?
Sure. So I floated a proposal to the city manager a few weeks ago because I was going to be speaking at the new teachers breakfast for the school district last week, and I thought I had a pretty good idea about trying to market the lots or get them out there so we can get them moving. And there are 125, or in that neighborhood, new teachers this year and pretty much every year in our school district. We have a lot of turnover with our population, with Fort Riley and so on. So that's a lot of new people in our area. So my thought was, why not make a really good lot price, basically zero, for all the school district employees and St. Xavier School employees. Make the lot cost zero. To get them to come here, move here, live here, build a home here, put their money in their house and not in the dirt. They can't get a deal like that anywhere around here, especially living right here in the school district. We know they've got a job, they have a good employer, and I've heard so many comments since I've been on the commission, even before that there's so many teachers that teach here but they live elsewhere. So why don't we make it just so attractive that they want to live here? They're not going to get a deal like this elsewhere. There's just not going to happen. We have great lots, shovel ready, ready to go. And we just haven't had much movement on the lots, even at the low price of $5,000. But teachers don't typically make, tons of money. They do okay. But if we can take a little bit of the upfront monetary requirement out of there and let them, put their money in their house, I think we've become a lot more attractive, not only to get people to live here, but for the school district to attract really high-quality teachers. It's a great incentive for any teacher looking for a job that would want to come here. So I think we can attract even better and brighter talent. So I think there's a lot of wins here possible. So I floated that idea, and then I did preface it when I did speak to the new teachers, although it didn't quite make it in the paper for some reason, that I'm going to be making a proposal next week saying just that. So everybody got excited, and the teachers were very excited. We actually, Mr. Dinkle is right there with me.
Yeah.
We had several people come right up to us, and they wanted a lot that day. They were ready to go right then. Several people just moved here to this area. They're living in an apartment because they haven't found a house yet or whatever. But they are ready to buy and take possession now. We just don't have any activity. Mr. Custer can probably tell it better than anyone that there aren't people beating down our doors to take these lots. So why not try something innovative and see what we can do? Get those teachers to live here. So many people fuss, again, like I said, that our teachers just don't live here. They need to live here and support the community and so on. Well, here's your chance.
And to chime in with what Pat said, I was there with him, and when he said that during his speech, seeing the teachers say or mouth, "That's awesome," you could just look and see it everywhere. And then, yeah, there was people running up to Pat, and talk to him. And so that, and then since it was in the paper, had a lot of people come up to us and say, "Hey, what's up with that?" Well, we saw how well it worked with the CAMSO and as part of the incentive package for them. Well, the school district's the second largest employer in our area, so if we can help them with retention by doing something that we need to get rid of anyway, I think it's a good idea.
well, and I know I wasn't at that meeting, but I did get some people reach to me that I referred over to the city manager about it. And since I've been on commission since 2015, we've talked a lot about land lots. And probably early on, we floated the idea of maybe given or different ways. So I think it's a good idea to offer that up as an incentive to the new teachers. Maybe some other groups of people as well.
Well, it's actually not just the new teachers. I'm saying all school district employees.
Okay?
That was a question that I got asked last night at the school board meeting, is if that, by a teacher, is if that's something to help with teachers who are already under contract that want to build a house, so I would
I
agree.
wonder if that's not something we shouldn't maybe expand, maybe, John, just a little bit, maybe to include firefighters, law enforcement. I know that the self-help housing, and I don't know who was here during the self-help. Leon, I think you remember self-help housing was available to law enforcement to move into those neighborhoods when that came up. So it's not a new idea, but I think if we could maybe add those two groups, law enforcement, firefighters, and I mean all law enforcement, within that, I mean sheriff, police, highway patrol, fish and game, whatever the case may be, I think that's a possibility that we could add in there. And if anybody thought any other groups that might be applicable, it'd be good if that could help us move those lots. I think it's a great idea.
And with the offer to do that, are we including the same, like from meetings ago, if you take a lot, you have to build by a certain time, or?
No, we can't.
We couldn't do
We
that.
had researched that last spring, former city attorney, and the problem is there's really no way of being able to tie into making somebody build on there, because, you're transferring a piece of property by a deed. And they try to go to the bank then, and they get their loan started and everything else, and,
Remember that,
yeah.
No.
I wish we could, and I think the thoughts out there, and I even ran some thoughts in my mind about we could make them pay X amount down. Well, but then they don't have the money, X amount down. And
We
when
need
they
to
get
have
their
our
bill-
expert come up here that actually knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, expound
Both of
on
them are
this.
welcome to come up.
Like a deposit, maybe a deposit or
Well,
something like
let's-
that would.
Come on up. Get at
Could
the
you do that?
microphone, please.
I'm not going by myself, Michelle.
You can sit over there, like,
Just
if you want, you can sit over there too.
I can sit down.
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, I guess if I probably would comment in a couple of ways that I think there are some really good ideas. Maybe I would suggest that thinking through a master plan, because I do think that there are a number of members of the community who could benefit from this. And in benefiting from it, how do you want that to look and over what period of time? And there are, 920 lots out there? At some point, you're going to be at a point where you're going to have to be in this situation. What does it look like now? What is it going to look like as you have 400 left or 300? I think that you're at that point. But what is the master plan? And what do you want it to look like? And do you want to give the lots away right now? And are you going to require them to build within a certain period of time? And to answer your question, there are programs where for example, HUD will offer opportunities to firefighters, teachers, and police officers. And there are stipulations, they just don't give them a lot. So there are stipulations tied to that deed. There's probably a little bit of legal question here in that what are the deed restrictions that could go along with that? I don't know why there couldn't be a deed restriction if you want to approach that. But it would be commonplace, I think, on a national level for the HUD programs to require them to live in it for a certain number of years, 3 years, 4 years.
We had a deed released not too long ago on 14 Fifth Ware Street, that was. And that lady had to live in 3 years, some kind of program back in the early 2000s. And the city had never released it. And even though when attorney in town says it released itself, but we did that ordinance or that yeah.
Right, so she didn't have to pay the back specials and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but she had to pay, yeah, but she lived in there 20 years, not 3
Right.
years. But it had stayed on the deed though.
So, I mean, I realize that also that there's a $1,000 cost that's would go to you for showing them the lots and the website and all that kind of stuff. We've already discussed that.
And I don't want to stop that. I mean, because, I mean,
Right,
right
and
now.
I don't either.
We
I'm
haven't had a
not
lot,
saying
but
that.
I love it to go, Lance, take care of this one. And, you know, the CAMSO thing, we had, I don't know if you made, you know, we set those contacts up, and it's like, if I get any calls, I just go.
And that's what we're paying for with that
And I
money.
want
And
to
I think that's
continue
great.
that.
So I want to leave that in place. But if you know, I mean, if you guys can get together and figure out a legal way to make sure that they build a home, take possession, build a home. And I'm not sure that you could do the 3 or 5 years you have to be in there, because with all of our military, it's going to be tough. So I don't know that you can do that, but I just want a home built. You get a home built on there, we're going to get paid. Somebody's going to pay us, one way or the other, right? I mean,
Tax revenue.
that's our goal. And so that's what we're most concerned about, what we want to see happen as soon as possible.
So where are you planning to draw the line at this point? It is,
As far as number of lots,
pardon me?
as far as number of lots,
No, to whom this opportunity is available.
well, like I said, USD 475 employees, all, not just new teachers, and St. Xavier School System employees. And if you guys want to include law enforcement, police and fire, I don't know. I mean, I'll leave that one out there. I'm only going to talk about the one thing, so. Any manager's thinking. And that's.
I'm not
you know,
sure if you don't want to try smaller scale first. I mean, I agree what Member Brown is saying, but I don't know if you want to just.
I think there's some legal work that has to be done
Well, plus
first.
we'll find, if we start, even though it could be large, start that, we'll find out what we have to correct so we don't make a lot of mistakes, because we're gonna find the bumps in the roads.
Just to clarify for all of you, I think we got our listing agreement back on Friday. So, you know, this has not been, it's not as if the lots are out there and being advertised yet. We just got that back.
Well, we just,
Understood.
yeah,
We haven't advertised, but I will tell you this, I think it's important for you to know that we've had a number of contacts. In fact, right after the new teacher meeting, we had somebody who wanted to sign up for the 3 lots, so.
Interest is there.
There is interest, but what I would say is that there's interest not just from those who are getting that opportunity. Rather, I visited with a banker this week. What we're trying to do is put together a financing plan, a package where if someone wants to have the opportunity to purchase a lot, they can purchase it with 10% down and then spread it out over 4 to 5 years, so their payment is less than $100 a month. And they can, a homeowner could buy a lot adjacent to them. So we're trying to, like I say, we just got the listing agreement back, so we're trying to put this together so that it is easy for them to purchase. And I had an inquiry yesterday from another agent who has a buyer who wants to build a house, who's with the new company, CAMSO, that's coming to town. So the word is getting out. It just hasn't been out for very long, and we haven't had a chance to really publicize it. The opportunities there. I've met with a developer who I think has met with, at least talked to many of you. Visited with a builder, visited with another banker who said that there was a developer interested. So there are opportunities out there, and there are opportunities that we're just starting the process. So we'll take time.
It'd probably be good if we could get maybe a periodic update from you on what's going on. That would be terrific.
Absolutely.
So,
so you want us
So
to
then-
work out, I mean, you want to move ahead now, or you want to help Britton and us work out some details? I can share what was done last spring too.
I think so.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Are we all good with that?
Small scale
I got
first,
them. Well,
With the school district.
or school district first, and then go open it up as we.
well, they got to do the legal stuff first and see if,
If there is a way that we can
to
tie
put
into.
some deed requirements on there.
You know, the difference between this and the one that that lady had a few years ago was this is a $5,000 lot. Hers was a $30,000 loan. So, you know, you got some scales of issues here too. And but we had two of them this year where we had done some stuff, programs 20 years ago, and everything had been met, but but we had never, or nobody had ever asked us. In fact, that one had sold once before, and nobody had caught that there was a lien on there yet.
And I have no problem with adding additional groups at all. We have so many lots. I don't,
Right.
if we knocked off 100, I would be
Yeah.
jumping up and down.
We're not at a loss.
So I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
Well, and like I said, those three, you know, three, police, fire, and school, and teachers, I think would be a good
Really.
mix to start off
Agreed.
with, and if
Since we're opening it up.
more opportunities.
Everybody good?
Good.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next item is review policy regarding the Olivia Farm land bank lots.
Mr. Chairman and trustees, you know, we kind of held off because we had some talk earlier about somebody trying to buy a group of Olivia Farms. That has not really moved, and there's been some changes in their partnerships and everything else. I've had some interest from people in Olivia Farms already. Have we gotten to the point that, you know, we need to either move forward or, you know, maybe put them out there for some? Because we have some desire, especially those larger lots up north.
I think that for Olivia Farms, that if someone comes along and they want, or they're interested, we should consider it instead of continuing to hold.
I mean, yeah. You know, and we've given time, it's not like we haven't, and, you know, we've had one person that kind of mentioned that they would like to buy one with a contingency of others, and I think that's a workable deal. I mean, if somebody came with a formal proposal, maybe something to look at, but,
I think they've had plenty of time.
Yeah.
If they were going to do something, they would have. So
it was never a written policy, so we just had, so we can move forward then with it.
they've had their opportunity. I think the difference is about Olivia Farms that many lots are just so small. So we're going to have to do something with
Replatting.
plating or whatever to increase lot size, even though there's utilities for both, for each lot. So those utilities have to be combined into one box per se, or
Line lots, you'd probably cap one sewer service line permanently. And
just cap it and bear it?
right now, a lot of them are sticking up, which
Right,
shouldn't be.
right.
Right. Okay.
And then you want to talk about Man's Ranch too, or?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, the Man's Ranch tax sale was after most of their tax sales, so it came a few years later. Nothing sold, of course. County wanted to get a big lot. We had some concern about some drainage issues, which we've had Call Valley take a look at, and they're comfortable, and I'm comfortable now too, since they are, that we could take those. I've talked to the county a little bit. I haven't, you know, reached out totally, but I mean, we're talking probably near 200 lots. You know, the only downside we have is you know, we mow the front end of every land bank lot. We'd have to mow those extra lots. That's really the only downside we have. On the end, the positive, of course, is that we and of course Lance and his agency and the other realtors in town will do a better job of marketing them than just leave them at the county. Plus, then you got the specialty, because if I went up to the county now and bought that lot, I could probably get that lot bought for nothing today. But I would have to pay the specialists from here to the end, because there's still specials assessed to
10 more
us.
years roughly.
Yeah, 10, 12.
Is the lots that are at Man's Ranch, do they have all of the utilities, or if,
I don't know. I think most of them do, but I don't know about the south end.
because I thought that they didn't have maybe electricity or gas
A
or.
lot of that, I think Deer Creek doesn't. That's what I do know, but I did see a lot of electric out there. I've walked around out there, and I see a lot of electric boxes, so yeah, I didn't go digging for gas.
You brought that with you.
So a lot of match maybe or something.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't really, just me, I know it talked about drainage issues in there, and how much does it cost to mow, and how much more is that gonna add on to our, for 200 more lots?
Well, roughly, it's gonna add in there 25%. And I'd have to get the number of that there, but, in there 25% more lots, give or take.
But then whenever I look at, all the lots that we have now, that I know that Lance and them are gonna be marketing them and trying to sell them, and we want, we're gonna give the school and lots, but adding 200 more to what we have, how does that really benefit us?
They can get marketed, and in my opinion, some of those lots are more decent than a lot of lots we have now. They're a little bigger, it just lays nice. We have lots, I think we all know this, we know about the big gulch that we have specials on. We have lots that you're never gonna build on. I mean, it ain't gonna happen, unless you spend too much money and that's just so far down the road because we have available land.
I think that's the key, that all the lots are marketed, not just sitting at the county.
Right.
So I think that's very
And
important.
that would give a better chance. What you may see happen, honestly, in my opinion, if we had the managed ranch ones, they may sell faster than some of those we've had out there already.
How about would we run into was it the title issue, or? that
Oh, we're
we had in
5
the
years and
very
everything now. We're far enough out and everything now.
beginning? Remember?
They only
Okay.
need 1 year from the tax sale,
Oh,
they're
okay.
well past that.
All right.
Well, and it was even longer, they thought, on those first ones
Yeah.
because of,
Yeah, that's,
there was a lot of question from the title companies,
Proper
that all the
notification.
proper notification. And it was all those little side liens on there and everything else, and I never blame, because, you gotta realize when the county got stuck with 1,200 tax sale lots, it was a game that nobody ever played before either, so,
Right.
Do we need a motion to
No,
absorb those, or?
I'll move talking to the county some more, because I and the county commission chair have talked a bit.
one thing I wanted to bring up, just kind of reviewing the minutes of the last meeting and the offer we had from Junction City Baptist Church to buy a certain block of lots. What bothers me is when a church buys them, they don't generate any property tax revenue, ever. And to me, that's not fair. I think everybody should pay their fair share for the lots and then going forward in taxes. So I don't think this body should allow the sale of lots to a religious entity.
In
And
general?
make that a policy. Can we do that?
Let's think about that.
I'll research that, because that,
I know it's a big question, I get it.
yeah, it's his
But
in the
that's my
back.
point. I mean, we're trying to do this, we like the specials so that they generate revenue.
Right.
Or do we say, if you want to buy a lot, that's fine, you're going to pay the specials on them.
That's research.
And that
Yeah,
way
yeah.
we all have it under.
So we have control of it. We'll let you buy it, but you're going to have to pay specials, one way or the other.
Yep.
I get the idea, but
I understand. I don't
queasy
expect a
right now.
question or answer tonight.
Looking at that.
No,
That's tomorrow.
but I think it's a fairness issue. I don't think a religious entity should be buying lots for their parishioners to live in and not pay taxes. I think it's wrong.
Well, I believe this was for their campus. Church, possibly school or whatever.
Right. It's open for discussion. Anything else? Anyone for
Nope.
land bank? Nope.
Nope, I make a
Motion to
motion to
adjourn?
adjourn.
Second?
All in favor of the motion, respond by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Thank you.